Hi, this is Click English and I'm Fifi. Here you can learn English with just a click. Welcome to lesson 3 of our daily routine series. Today we're going to learn how to answer one of the most common questions in English. How often do you? When you're speaking with someone, it is useful to ask about their routines and habits. One common way to ask about frequency is by using the question, how often do you? This means, how many times do you do something? Now, imagine you're dating someone and you want to know more about their workout routine. You can ask questions like, how often do you exercise? This means you are asking the person how many times a week do they exercise. Or you can ask, how often do you practice yoga? Or how often do you go to the gym? How often do you go for a walk? These are several ways of asking people about their workout routines, depending on the type of exercise they do. While learning these questions, it is also important to pay attention to the verbs we use with different activities. For example, we say go to the gym, go for a walk, practice yoga, and exercise. These are very important in English because many learners make mistakes with them. So try to learn the activity together with the correct verb. Now, how are we going to answer these questions? How can you tell people how many times a week you do something? Let's learn how to answer these questions naturally. For example, when we have a question like, how often do you go to the gym? You can answer, I usually go to the gym twice a week. And here are some other useful frequency expressions. We say once a week, twice a week, and after that we use time. 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. So remember, we say once and twice, but after that we use times. For example, 3 times a week, 4 times a month, 5 times a year. Another way to answer how often questions is by using every. For example, I do yoga every Saturday, or I usually practice yoga every weekend, or I try to do yoga every day. We often use every with days, weekends, weeks, months. Remember, after every we use singular nouns. Every day, every week, every Saturday. Now, what happens if we want to ask about another person? In this case, we use does. For example, how often does she go swimming? Or how often does he run? How often does Jack go cycling? Or how often does your father go jogging? So remember, this is a very common mistake. Read the sentence carefully and try to learn the structure. After does, the main verb stays in the base form. Now let's answer these questions. How often does she go swimming? She goes swimming every weekend. How often does he go running? He goes running 3 times a week. This is very important because in the question, when we use does, we say go, but when we want to answer, we say she goes. These are very important points to remember. So practice these sentences carefully at home and try to ask your friends about their routines. Finally, to wrap up, listen to my routines. I usually exercise twice a week and I try to stay active every day. During the week, I sometimes go for a walk or do a short workout at home. I go to the gym once a week and I also do yoga 3 times a week. At the weekend, I like to relax, but I still try to do something active, like going for a walk or stretching. So, you can see I try to keep a balanced routine and stay active regularly. Now it's your turn. Write a few sentences about your own routine in the comments using expressions like once a week, twice a week, every day, or during the week. And if you enjoyed this lesson, don't forget to subscribe to Click English with Fifi for more simple and practical English lessons. See you in the next video.